Hello and welcome to the August 3rd edition of Speedway Digest, Thursday Night Thunder, the most hardcore motorsports program on the internet. This is episode 259 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair. Tonight on the program, we'll be talking about a little NASCAR, some IMSA, maybe a little IndyCar, and whatever other motorsports pops into the conversation. Our guest tonight is Katherine Legge, who actually looks like she's in the studio tonight, so that's great to see. Gradient Racing announced a commercial partnership with Italian luxury golf and sportswear brand Cervo. The partnership will see Gradient Racing drivers Sheena Monk and Katherine Legge join the Team Cervo roster of athletes, and the brand will become the official apparel partner of Gradient Racing. The company, based in Verona, will see its logo on the number 66 J.G. Wentworth Acura NSX GT3 Evo 22 for the remainder of the 2023 IMSA WeatherTech Championship season. The partnership will include crossover media and content events, as well as promotions featuring Gradient's driver lineup and Cervo's roster of PGA and LPGA Tour professionals.
Katherine is a member of the only full-time all-female driver pairing in the IMSA WeatherTech series. She drives the number 66 J.G. Wentworth HPD Acura NSX GT3 Evo 22 along with Sheena Monk. The team's best result of the season to date was a fourth-place finish at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, where the pair were joined by the Mark Miller and Mario Farnbacher. Recent races have been extremely encouraging for the team, with a P5 at the 6 Hours of the Glen and P6 at Lime Rock Park. In between those events was Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, where a late race rear brake issue cost the team its first podium and possibly the pair's first historic win together.
It's been a while since we last talked to Katherine on the program, back when we had her on as well as the entire Delta Wing squad on the program. We're happy to have her back tonight. We're now pleased to welcome Katherine Legge to the program. Hello, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, how are you?
Doing pretty well. I saw a little bit of your action last weekend. It seemed like you were really busy between racing in Wisconsin and racing in the Nürburgring. That's a pretty hectic weekend there. How did you do there?
It's actually back-to-back weekends in Wisconsin. So I was racing NASCAR Xfinity Series last weekend in Road America in Wisconsin, and I'm back in the Acura Cervo sponsored Acura this weekend with Sheena, as you mentioned previously. And it is raining cats and dogs like you wouldn't believe, and it wasn't. So now we're gonna see what this weekend brings.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how your racing journey first began?
Oh, crikey. That's a long story. I was a lot younger. I was 9 years old, and I'm English, obviously, you can tell by the accent. I still think I have most of an English accent. I was back home racing go-karts in England at age 9. I think I was daddy's little girl. I was a bit of a tomboy, bit of an adrenaline junkie, and kind of worked my way through winning races and championships in karting back in the day, and then won scholarships and races, and kind of got help and support through to do open wheel racing, mostly in the US. My big chance came in the US, and I've been driving everything with four wheels since.
I know you're outfitted by Cervo. That's one of the reasons you're on the program tonight. Can you tell us a little bit more about the brand and how you got involved with it?
Oh my goodness, yes. I cannot tell you enough good stuff about Cervo. I love it. I'm wearing one of their polo shirts now as we speak to each other. When they got brought on board, actually, Declan, our PR marketing guy at Gradient Racing, announced that we were going to be sponsored by this Cervo brand. And so Sheena and myself were looking into it and kind of Googling on it. And we were like, it looks really good, and it's Italian, and it looks great. Very high end, very sharp. And we wear similar kind of things in racing as we do in golf. And we're also very avid golfers within our team. And then the shirts arrived, and honestly, we were blown away by it. Like, the pants, they fit so well. I was like, wow, my butt has never looked this good in pants before. This is awesome. And then the polo shirts are really cool and comfortable, and they block sun, and they are super functioning, but they also look super cute. And one of the problems that I've always come across in racing is, as a woman, we wear men's size small polo shirts because it's what the team provides you with, right? So there's been none of that this year. We look amazing, and we're very grateful for the partnership, because it's really special when you get to represent a brand that you really truly believe in. And I would say it to anybody who was looking, like, this is honestly the best apparel brand. Not that you can call it apparel, because it's like super high end sportswear, I would say. Um, it's amazing. I feel like $1 million.
What's your greatest racing memory? I know you have a long and storied history in all sorts of different racing all around the world. What's your greatest racing memory?
Oh, crikey, I have so many. I've been racing for a long time now, so I probably have one of the most diverse careers in motorsport, I would say. I've driven everything from IndyCar and the Indy 500 to NASCAR to sports cars to electric cars, electric open wheel, the Jaguar I-Pace series. I've raced all over the world. I've done a lot, and a lot of stuff I'm very proud of, and I've had a lot of very fun memories doing it. I think the things that stick out, though, obviously, are the ones that you win and that you do well at. So I would say that I love each of the different disciplines in a different way. Like, I love IMSA racing because it's been a home, and it's very much a team sport, and you've got teammates and a team around you that are every part as important as you are. Um, and so there's this camaraderie, and I've built my life around it, really. Open wheel was my first love. So I always wanted to be a Formula One driver and do the Indy 500 and succeed in open wheel. So I still have a very soft spot for that in my heart. And obviously NASCAR came to me later in life when I moved to the States, and I heard about these big burly engines and this beasts, and it's so raw and powerful, and just like it's you in the car, and there are no driver aids or anything else. So that's special too. So I have a lot of memories, and I can't really say that I have one favorite one.
Well, I know your training has to be intense with the level of athleticism you try and keep up with all different series, and you live a very active lifestyle. What do you look for in your gear both on and off the track?
So a number of different things. Comfort is obviously one. We're traveling a lot, and we're in and out of different environments: cold, hot, rainy, as you can hear in the background here. And so it has to be durable and comfortable, right? First and foremost, it has to be practical, and then it has to look smart and professional as well. And I think that in an ideal world, it also has to be very well made and put together and feel good and make you feel confident. And that's what Sherbo does for me.
Growing up, who was your racing idol?
That's an easy one. My racing idol when I was growing up through the racing ranks, I had two. I had Ayrton Senna to start with, and he will be forever my racing idol, like my hero, like just super special. You know, when you're a kid and you idolize somebody so much that he's not real. That to me is Ayrton Senna. And then as I was getting a bit older, it was Michael Schumacher, because he was so dominant at that time as well. And then I have a few, like Nigel Mansell was British. He did Formula One. He came over here as well. So I have a few, like Jenson Button, even for me, was kind of more my era and had done so much in his career. So there's a few, but like really the first ones where I was really impressionable and really young were Ayrton Senna and then Michael Schumacher.
Cool. Well, go ahead and throw you out to my co-host, Mykkal Mulalley-Kapalo in Afraid of Washington, and I'll have a few more questions for you a little later.
Okay, so my first question for you. You are globally known and currently the fastest woman in the world. I'm sure you could wear any brand, so why Cherbo?
Well, thank you. That was quite an intro. Um, I mean, honestly, I feel passionate about bringing Shervo to the forefront of everybody's minds, because it's not a brand that I was aware of before, right? And it has been by far ahead of anything else I've ever worn, as definitely as teamwear. And it's just so versatile and it's so soft. Like the quality is amazing. The cut is amazing. Like I've never experienced any other brand quite like it, honestly. And I will forever be a convert of Shervo.
And what intrigues you the most about auto racing?
I think the fact that you can never reach perfection. You're always battling. You're battling yourself. You're battling the other drivers on track. Like you're always learning. You're always developing. You're always like everything's a constant. The conditions change. Everything changes, and so you're always working to be the best that you can be. And I think the battle with yourself is fascinating to me. And so I love that competition, not only with everybody else, but with yourself. And I love driving. I love racing. I'm not so much into cars. Like I'm not a car fanatic. I don't know all my car like brands and makes and models and all that stuff. I think it's more as a sport that I love it so much.
Now, you are a woman on the go, traveling nonstop. Tell us your must have piece to take with you, the piece that you never leave home without from Cherbo.
And there's two. I can't choose one. There's like this super soft silky polo that they have, which I'm actually you can't see me, but I'm like kind of stroking myself right now because it's it's like butter, and it's got like a frilly where the buttons go on the front of the polo. It's a little bit frilly, so it's very feminine, but it's also so soft, and so you can wear it when it's hot outside and you feel great about it. And then there's those pants that I told you about that just honestly they're so flattering.
If you could give any piece of advice to someone looking to get started in motorsports, what advice do you think that would be?
Hello.
Yes, are you still there?
I am again now. Sorry, there was a massive thunderstorm overhead and it cut you off, but it's brought you back again.
Oh, that's okay. Um, if you could give any advice to someone looking to get started in motorsports, what advice would you give?
Never give up. Always have the ultimate goal in your head, and if you want it that much, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Oh, that's great advice, actually. And my final question before Adam takes it back over, what is the first thing that you notice when you pull into a track for a busy race weekend?
Huh, that's a great question. I've never been asked that before. I think the first thing I notice is the atmosphere and the buzz and just the general vibe of the track you're going to, and get excited from there.
As a professional race car driver, how do you know what your limits are?
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go over my limits. Um, but most of the time it's like it's intrinsic in you, right? Like you have a feeling in your bones and you know what the limit of yourself is, what the limit of the car is, the tire and everything else. You just it's an instinct. It's not a conscious thing. It's a subconscious thing.
Now that you're racing both in the sports cars and in Xfinity almost in back-to-back weekends, how are you able to transfer between the two cars and still keep your mindset that you're ready to race and ready to win in those cars?
Um, I think it's all I know. It's all I've ever known. It's what I do. I think you just rely on the confidence you have in yourself to know what to do, and you kind of just get into a rhythm with it. It's like if you're a bank manager, you know how to manage a bank, right? If you're a race car driver, you know what you're doing. It's if you're a server in a restaurant, you don't get overwhelmed because there are a bunch of tables there. You just know what you're doing. It's a learned thing and a confidence that you have that you'll figure out anything that's not in the usual realm.
And of all the different series you've raced in, and I've been in numerous different series, definitely even this year you've been in several different series. What series that have you not raced in that you'd love to have at least the shot to compete in?
Oh, that's an easy one. I have a burning desire to do an Aussie V8 at Bathurst, and I also want to do Le Mans. So they're the two big things that I haven't done yet that I want to do before I'm old and retire.
Well, good luck at both those. I know if you put your mind to something, you're definitely able to get it done, and hopefully you have a successful time in those. Plus everything else you're in right now. It seems like you got a lot of stuff going on, and you're doing pretty well in all of it. So good luck with that, and have a great year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And thanks for coming on the show. I'm sorry we missed talking to you last week. I know we had some time issues and all that, but it was great to talk with you. And hopefully we don't have another almost 10 years before our next interview. Once again, that was Katherine Legge, who's competing this weekend in Xfinity again. So it'll be kind of awesome to see how she does this weekend. And she, as you can tell, she races in all different series all over the country, all over the world. So it'd be cool to see how that goes. And anytime you turn on the racing series, most likely you'll see Katherine Legge in it. If she hasn't been in it before, she'll be in it in the future. Are you a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, maybe just a huge fan of the sport? Contact us to get respond on the show. After all, you deserve your 15 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. So we talked a little bit about the fact that the Thursday Night Thunder is racing on ESPN. It's going to be on, I believe it's on tonight. It's been on the past few weeks. Last week they had a little bit of a controversy there where Paul Tracy was involved in some on-track incidents that he ended up getting suspended for, and it doesn't look like he'll be back behind the wheel of an SRX race car anytime soon. How do you feel about that? Did you see that? And what do you feel about the fact that he was actually suspended from the series?
I didn't see it, but I kind of read a little bit about it, and I read that he's the first one to ever get suspended like that in that series. And I guess I'm just a little bit not really confused, but I thought that was kind of the point of this series to, like, kind of get, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I thought it was to be a little rougher and, like, kind of out of, like, your ordinary, like, racing where you have to not necessarily smack the person in front of you. Like, I thought this was a series to be a little more out of control. So I think maybe I've misunderstood the series all this time.
Yeah, it does seem like it. Well, when they found it a few years ago, it was a little bit more of a roughhousing type thing. But I think now that Tony Stewart is investing more of his own personal money in the series, he sort of realizes that it costs money to repair these cars, and if he doesn't, there's not exactly huge sponsors with this series. So I think he's getting a little bit tired of people bouncing off the walls, bouncing off each other. But if you watch the race, if you watch the highlights of it, which I got a chance to watch the other day, Kyle Busch wasn't racing any differently than Paul Tracy was. The only difference is Kyle Busch was at the head of the pack and Tracy was towards the back. So it's and plus it's Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he either wins or he wrecks somebody out or he wrecks himself. That's been his history, and that's pretty much how he's racing in the SRX series this year. So I think they wanted the best of both worlds, and they're not sure which way they're going, and I think they're trying to make everybody happy, and in the end, they don't make anybody happy if they push a little bit too hard.
True. I'm honestly surprised that it's still going. I don't feel like we hear a whole lot about it as of, late. I guess it's been a little bit more in the news, but I don't feel like we hear a whole lot about it. I don't feel like it really gets the media that it should. So I'm honestly
No.
surprised that it's really still up and going. It's still doing good.
Well, I think part of that's the fact that it's entirely an ESPN thing. Plus, I think there's the support of Tony Stewart himself, plus Ray Evernham and all that, and the fact that it's sort of an all-star event. Those are the best. They're the best factors of it, but they also are the fact that it may not get the biggest audience because they're not aiming for the same sort of people who would watch, say, Formula E or watch most of the IMSA races. They're aiming for people who want a little bit of nostalgia, who are Ken Schrader fans. But there's nothing wrong with that. Ken Schrader's an awesome driver. He's really cool. And I think he's part of the reason, he's probably most of the reason why Paul Tracy was eliminated and asked to leave the series. But it's they're trying to bring back the past and sort of ride their own coattails, ride ESPN's coattails in a way, to try and I don't know what they're trying, whether they're trying to bring back motorsports ESPN or whether they're trying to save the entire motorsports world by having it on Thursdays, having it at small tracks and that sort of thing. It's a great idea, but I don't know how successful it is, and I don't think that a lot of people are really watching it because I know I don't have access to ESPN anymore. All I can watch are the replays on YouTube, which is fabulous, but you can't watch it live unless you're one of the cable people, and even my parents got rid of cable a few years ago. So it's they're battling a losing battle, and I think they're trying. In one way, they're trying to make sure that they have all the all-star type events. Another way, they're trying to make sure it's clean racing, and another way, they're trying to have everybody. They're happy when people are pushing each other around to get in the news. So it's really a conundrum type series, and I'm not just saying that because they're borrowing the names Thursday Night Thunder back. They had that originally, but I am saying it because it just doesn't seem to make sense. It doesn't seem like they have their entire idea of what they want the series to be, and maybe they do. Maybe they want to be everything to all people. But when you're trying that, you end up being pretty much nothing to everybody, and it doesn't work out that well.
Are there still only I think when the series first started, weren't they only racing like 6 or 8 cars at a time? Are they still kind of doing the same thing?
I think it's like 12 cars now, but they only race for like 8 weeks, so 6 or 8 weeks. I think it's 8 weeks, so they only got a few more weeks left, and we'll see how that goes. They have a few more sponsors now, but they're not really sponsors. A lot of them are marquee sponsors they're sponsors who have sponsored the drivers for their whole careers, like Federated Auto Parts for Schrader and that sort of thing. So I thought it was neat that Kyle Busch's sponsor was the Florida Panthers. I didn't think he was that big of a hockey fan, but apparently he is. And I like the Florida Panthers hockey, so that was kind of cool to see them in victory lane there last Thursday. Not sure who's going to win tonight. Probably not going to watch any of the race this evening, but I am going to watch the highlights probably this weekend to see how that goes. But it should be interesting, that's for sure. We've got some really great drivers who are going to be on the program next few weeks. I'm going to actually talk to a team of sponsors for the Formula 2 series. I think it's the Box group. We're going to be talking to them next week, so that'll be interesting. But always something different going on in the world of motorsports. I had a chance to talk to the guys from the Formula 2 series the other day to email back and forth with them. So that'd be cool to try and get some information about that. I know that I'm seeing a lot more stuff about the Las Vegas race now. Trying to reach out to some of those people. We might talk to some promoters and that sort of thing. So we'll see how that goes. I know Shaquille O'Neal is heavily involved in the race there in Las Vegas as a guy who's promoting not only his own brand, but he's got a suite there, and he's probably going to be working on sponsoring one of the cars too. So that'll be interesting. What big race are you looking forward to in the near future?
Honestly, really any of them that I will remember to watch. I really have been slacking on watching anything really racing related, and I would really like to get back into at least getting clips, so I really would just like to get back into it as a whole. So I don't know that I'm really looking forward to any one race, as I would really just like to watch them all.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully the racing this weekend at Road America will be pretty good. I know that the weather there is totally different than it was last week. Last week was clear and fairly warm. This weekend it's going to be rainy. Hopefully it doesn't rain all weekend, but it might. So that'll definitely throw a monkey wrench into the IMSA race there. We'll see how that goes. IMSA has a few more races left. I know that NASCAR is starting to go into their postseason, which lasts forever. So not really much for postseason because it lasts for almost 2 months. But they're starting to talk about the fact that they're wrapping up their regular season now. So that's something. And I know that I haven't really been following NASCAR as much this year. As I said, I did get a chance to watch the little bit of the Formula One race, watch a lot of the Formula E race from London. That was awesome. Just because of the fact that the Formula E race raced in a indoor/outdoor circuit where they had about half the track inside a really big giant building and the other half right outside along the river there in London. So that was neat. I really think that you should head out to the Formula E race in Portland next year, especially if you're worried about noise levels, because those cars are deathly quiet, and so that would be a great race to go to if you're worried about noise. And they do have the race in Portland next year. I think it's either in June or July. I have to look that up, but that'll be a pretty cool race. Those are great looking cars. So there's all sorts of racing coming up, but I'm starting to focus on next season because we'll be going to the SRO race, of course, next month in Sebring. That will be fun. Those are cool races. They're also looking cars, sports cars, and that sort of thing. But the racing I'm really looking forward to is in Daytona. I think the Daytona National Speedway is amazing. It's a great facility for road racing. It's great for watching the Daytona 24-hour race. The Daytona 500 is cool also, but it's not the same sort of animal. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing if they bring in any more cars from Europe next year. How many more drivers come over. I know that this year was the last year for the 1,000 miles of Sebring with the WEC race at Sebring. They won't be having that next year. But it'll be cool to see if they bring up any cars for the 24-hour race as well as for the Sebring race. So that'll be interesting. And like I said before, I was looking at tickets for the IndyCar race in St. Pete, but that's just a mess to find a room there, and it's like 5 hours from here, the traffic. So it's an option, but it's not a very likely option. So a lot of things going on. I'm probably not going to be going back to the Gator Nationals. The Gator Nationals were really fun. Might be going in a couple of years, I suppose. Never say never. But that's a long way to go, especially with the weather that we had to drive through last year for that. So it'll be interesting. Always stuff going on. You said you were reaching out to a few different people for as possible guests on the show. You hear anything about that? Do you have any ideas as to who you're reaching out to? And are they local people? Are they national people? Are they a mix of both?
I kind of a mix of both. I've messaged 2 people since I mentioned to you that I had a few people in mind to message. One is I think it's an alcohol dragster, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. But she's an I'm going to say alcohol, but she's a dragster driver, and she specializes in like helping people network and like talk to their sponsors and stuff. So I was really, really hoping she would email me back. I still haven't lost hope, but that was like I'm going to say like 3 or 4 days ago. So I still have hope there. And then a little bit of a local person. He's from the Northwest. He races. I think it's like the super late models or pro late models, but he's really good. He's the one that I was telling you about that had a little bit of a DQ problem. Not 100% sure what it was all about. But I also have not heard back from him either. And I messaged him at the same time that I messaged the first person. So again, I'm not giving up hope. If I have to send a repeat message, I will, but have not heard anything back.
Well, like I said, if you're interested in being on the show, please contact us. We're always looking for somebody new and different to talk to here. We've had all sorts of drivers on. Everybody from Katherine Legge here was our guest this evening. It was great to talk to. We had Scott Laskowski at one point, the lawnmower driver. So, and all sorts of people in between and everything in between. So, we even had the chance to talk to former Cup champion Bobby Labonte on the show. I had a chance to talk to Rick Ware on the show a few times. So all sorts of, I had a chance to talk to Sean Rahal, who now races in dirt cars as well. So all sorts of different people, and all of them have something to contribute to the sport, and we're great to have to share their stories. So if you're interested in coming on the show, please contact us. We'd love to have you. Be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the other shows on the Speedway Digest Radio Network at speedwaydigest.podbean.com. You can also check out the show on Facebook by searching for Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder in the search bar. I also invite you to read the articles covering all aspects of motorsports at speedwaydigest.com. I've got some great stuff coming up on the speedwaydigest.com. I'm going to be posting some stories, reviewing some of the racing that's taken place. Also have some interviews coming up, so be sure to check that out. Nothing really overwhelming this week, not like last week when I had a really good listing of stuff, but this week there's going to be a few good pieces, and we'll go ahead and have them posted probably on Sunday. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our Slice of Paradise at my blog site, Warplum's Fantastic Finds. It can be found on Facebook, on Twitter, which I suppose is now called X, and by heading to for Warplum's Fantastic Finds.wordpress.com. That's FABORPLUMBS, fantasticfinds.wordpress.com.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing.
Have a great night, and thanks again.